It is a city full of surprises, a striking coastline, skyscraping high-rise buildings, a metropolis projected to become one of the world's economic giants of this century. This is Rio de Janeiro, Brazil's second largest city, known for its picturesque natural settings and these. The famous slum dwellings of South America, known in Portuguese as favelas. The first settlements emerged in the late 18th century, then called barrios africanos, or African neighborhoods, and were the place where former African slaves lived. Most modern-day favelas appeared in the 1970s, following a huge exodus out of the rural areas into Brazil's major cities. With no place to live, many people ended up in a favela. Today, there are an estimated 500 in Rio de Janeiro alone. 19% of Rio's 6 million inhabitants live in these densely populated favelas. They are much smaller in size than the normal slums of Nairobi, but are nonetheless associated with extreme poverty. Despite its rapid development, Brazil remains one of the most economically unequal countries in the world. The opulence of Rio and the densely populated favelas on the edge of the city provide a dramatic illustration of the gap between poverty and wealth. The Brazilian government says it is determined to reverse the statistics and has made several attempts to improve the nation's problem of urban poverty. The United Nations says government efforts are showing signs of achieving results, with 11 million of its inhabitants having moved out of slum dwellings in the last decade. Brazil is the embodiment of the challenges of urbanization. Developing countries are today said to be experiencing the highest rate of urbanization, with most of the inhabitants of these cities ending up in slum dwellings. The UN State of the World Report 2010 points to a world that has today become an urban one, with half the world's population crammed in cities, many in spaces such as these. And so the world's leaders gather here in Brazil in a fifth attempt to examine one of the most pressing problems facing the world today: rapid urbanization and its impact on communities and cities. And in many countries, millions are hoping that someday they too will join Brazil's 11 million in the exodus out of the slums. Now, bridging the urban divide is the focus of officials gathered here in Brazil for the 5th World Urban Forum. And nowhere is that need more evident than in the cities of developing countries hardest hit by rapid urbanization. It is estimated that 227 million people have moved out of slum conditions in the last 10 years, but 55 million more have been added in the same period, making the need for development planning more urgent than ever if that crisis is to be averted. Beatrice Marshall, KTN, Beach Copacabana, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.